Okay, my tank strap should be in today. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to get the wire brush out and clean all this up. Get stuff like that off. And that. And then spray some undercoating on here. And then maybe blow some air through the fuel lines, make sure they're cleaned out. Over there. Light. Go there. And then hopefully put this tank in today, hook it up, and then I'm going to pull the leaf springs out. See it better maybe this side. There we are. Pull the leaf springs out, and then this will be open. This will be open, and then I can clean up there. Maybe do some patchwork in here, and then take the shocks off while I'm at it because they're attached to the bottom of the springs. I got new bolts for the springs and new shocks to go in as well. But once that's out of there, I'll finish patching up in here. We'll do the undercoating. Just basically clean up things as I go along and start making my way to the front. I'm going to paint that axle after I clean it up because I think it looks stupid red. And then yeah, we'll get her back on the ground and the fuel line's hooked up. Maybe even start it. But I'm not going to get ahead of myself. And this is probably going to be a lot more work than I expect, as it always is. Also, the other thing to do before we clean up and put the new tank in is, I'll show you, hold on. This is the filler tube for the old gas tank. As you see, it's pretty crusty in there. And it has this tab on it here. Now, the replacement gas tank I have, or filler tube for the gas tank I have, nice and clean, never been used, doesn't have this tab. And I have this random other one that was in the trunk, and it looks like it used to have the tab, but broke off or whatever. So spare parts, garbage, new one. But first I'm going to take off this one. I'm going to weld or drill out the spot welds and then clamp it onto here and weld it on so I have the clamp. So when I put the tank in, I can put that in, and that'll be good to go. With the wire brush knocking off, you can see a few holes that are in the trunk, but it looks like there's metal on the other side of these, so he's already patched the inside, and it looked like a factory floor pan, so he just put it over top of the old one without bothering cutting the old one, this one out. Gas tank's going to cover it up. I'll just tar the hell out of it, and yeah, now the brush I'm using is this brush here. A little violent. I think I might put more of a regular wire wheel on it to kind of get in some of the corners here. But just want to knock the most of the rust off and stuff and give it a good clean surface and cover it up in tar so it doesn't get any worse than it is. Okay, there it is. Pretty cleaned up. And all I'm doing is spraying on this black rubberized asphalt undercoating. So it's not perfect. It's not a show car or restoration or anything like that. It's just a daily driver. And I figured while I'm on here I can clean up a bit and stop some rust. Obviously I got to replace this, but right now I don't have that, and I'm not sure I'm doing the exhaust yet, so we're just going to leave it. Well, just like new. At least where the gas tank's gonna go. And when I look at this way, I can see a few spots I missed. I might touch up for. Right now, just wait for it to dry, and still wait for my gas tank straps. Yeah, so now I'm going to touch up a couple spots and then repair that filler tube. What I'm doing now is this is the old filler tube with this bracket on it, and the new one doesn't have it. So I've cleaned up with a wire brush, and you can see where it was pressed in or spot weld, whatever. So I'm going to drill those out, take this tab off, and then because there'll be holes in it, I can plug weld it onto this one, and then this will fit into the tank, same as the old one, and we're good to go. Doesn't make a difference if I go through the tube, because the tube's not good anymore. See, I've got it through. Still kind of stuck on there. I don't know. Let's see. Clean this up a little bit. Holes a little bigger. Screwdriver or something in there, see if we can pry it out. Oh, there she comes. There it is. Starting to come apart there. Probably should have used just a slightly bigger drill bit. Make the hole a little bigger, but this works. There. That's all there is to it. So I'll clean that up, and then I'll clamp it on here. I can plug weld through those holes, and then there I'm back in business. Here's the old one that I drilled the bracket off of. New one, just plug welded it up. Let's give it a quick clean with a brush and shot of spray paint, and she's good as new. And then my tank strap showed up today on the ground there, and 4 new shocks. So we're on to that now. One strap in. going to assume the spout goes in last. Stay there. Of course, one of my straps came out of its hole. Okay. There we go. Okay. If we get this started, then I can at least take the jack out of my way. Okay. One strap's in. And the other going here. I don't know if you can actually see anything or not, but right about now I just don't care. Just want to get this in. There. Get the jack out of here. Okay. It's set in place. I just got to make sure everything's lined up. That goes there. Get rubber lines out of here yet. Deep wall 9/16 and see if we can speed this process up a bit. Okay, so everything's looking fine up there. Got the bolts. I actually ended up using the original ones that I just cleaned up and got the nut off fitting that way because they're a weird bolt and I didn't have one. I've seen guys make them, but I figure if I get these to work, I'll use them again. So they held the tank in there for 56 years. It'll do another 56. And then there's your feed line. That's a vent, which actually, looking at that. Oh yeah, there's holes there, okay. And there's the power to the gauge. And this, I don't know what that is. I think it's another vent because there's no return line on it. You know, it's like just a carburetor, and I didn't see any kind of return line on the carburetor. But it goes up into the trunk, loops around, goes back down somewhere over here behind the frame rail. And I blew air through it, and it just blew air out over there, so it's almost like it's got two vents, which, I don't know, I'm used to fuel injected stuff where you got a feed and a return and maybe a vent, but anyways, I'll just hook everything back up the way it was. So right now I'm going to get a 9/16 just to speed this up, get that all situated, and then the tank will be in. And we'll get some new rubber hose. I gotta see if I got any fuel line. If not, I go buy some. Put some fuel line in that, and then hook those back up, plug that in, and then dirt. And then we're in the fuel tank. And then, like I said, we got to take the leaf springs out. When I cut those, I bought new U-bolts here and unbolt each end of the leaf spring. Support the frame, support the axle, drop the leaf springs out, put the new ones in, and then I can hook the new shocks up. And be done under here, the back part, for a while. Okay, so we got the fuel tank all hooked up, got the feed line, couple vents. All I have to do now is hook it up to the fuel pump at the front, and our gas tank's in. So what I'm doing now, let's see, bring this around here. I got the frame up on jack stands there, and over there, and the tire's still sitting on ramps. So I'm going to undo the leaf springs there, the other end, drop her down, cut those U-bolts, and take the whole leaf springs out. As I leave the axle here, I don't have to worry about undoing brake lines and everything. And then replace the leaf springs, which I'll show you when I get that far, with ones from the parts car that are actually thicker. Now, with the weight on the frame, these actually have a bit of an arch, but you take the weight off the jack stands, and these springs they go flat. I'm not supposed to go flat. So I'm gonna try these other ones. They're more there's more leaves in them. I may end up sticking it too high, but we'll see. If it works, then it doesn't cost me any money. And if it doesn't work, then well, I can have these out and I can get them re-arched. So that's where we are. Take care of the lights here. That's where we are now. Okay, I've undone these bolts on the other side, and they came off surprisingly easy, considering they're, what's that, 56 years old. I think this has been an Ontario car its whole life, which is why it's got some rust, but obviously convertible. You probably didn't drive it much in the winter time. So these bolts actually come out surprisingly easy. So at least the other side did. So let's see what this side does. Get on over the rust or the mud or whatever the hell is on there. Okay. Look at that. I did PB blaster these a couple of days ago, so soaked them for a while, so hopefully that helped. Look at that. I don't know if it's the fact it hasn't been in the rust belt, or sorry, haven't been driven in the winter time. It's always been in the rust belt. Or the fact that they just use better metal nowadays, or nowadays, back then, compared to nowadays. Because this is, I've busted bolts bigger than this on newer cars, and this is like almost new. Not even a Johnson bar. I figured I'd put a Johnson bar on there to snap them loose, but don't. Unbelievable. The parts car was the same way, and I just figured because it was from Manitoba, they don't use salt up there, that that's why. But this one obviously just as good. Alright, third one's a little harder to get at. Up in here. Got the rust off of it. There it is. Unbelievable. Alright, that's the back part of both springs done. I'm going to go down to the other end of the car and middle of the car and do the front half. Pretty much same idea. There's that a pocket and unbolt them. Okay, this is the front part of these springs here. They bolt up in here. Try to get a light in there or not. Look a little more crusty. I'm hoping they still come off. These ones though, they're studs into the bracket of the leaf spring, so if they break it's not a big deal because I have the other leaf springs brackets and they came off good. So let's see how well these come out. Okay. Oh yes, nice and easy. I'm telling you, it's got to be better steel. These are 4 nuts. The other one was 3 studs, 3 bolts. But I mean, it's just a regular ratchet. It's not a Johnson bar or anything on it. I didn't break them loose ahead of time. Just covered them in PB Blaster. They're stiff because of all the rust, but it's still coming off. I put my impact on it, the way the frame is. Can't get my gun up in there, so that's it. Do it the old-fashioned way, but god damn. It says working on old cars, you're gonna bust a bunch of bolts. Get better metal. Working on 90s cars. Even 80s cars. With 5 bolts. This, okay. Oh, spoke too soon, we broke one. Son of a bitch. Shouldn't have said anything about how easy it is, because now they're fighting me. Okay, I just wanted to turn this camera back on to admit that I'm an idiot. I got 1 nut off, no problem. 2nd nut snapped off, like almost immediately. So I thought, okay, well, rusty bolts, they'll snap. 3rd one I'm working on, and it's moving, but it's like it's getting tighter. And then I realized I must have hit the ratchet adjustment direction thing on the back because I was actually tightening it. So I'm going to go back and check the video, but I think the 2nd bolt, I was tightening it, and that's why it snapped. And I've turned it around, and there's the 3rd one, and it's coming off. So, you snap busted bolts off by turning them the wrong way. Here I thought, oh, it's going so easy, and then it stopped, and it's like, okay, I should have kept my mouth shut. And it's like, no, I should have just paid attention to which way my ratchet was turning. I'm such an idiot. Okay, I'm going to try and redeem myself on this side. The other side, I end up snapping 3 of the 4 bolts, which I kind of expected, actually. I mean, it's like I said, it's a 56-year-old car. But after the rear of the leaf springs came undone so easily, I thought, oh, the front should be easy as well, but no. Now, the first one went easy too, so I'm not getting my hopes up. Oh, there it goes. Just so much rust on it. This is what I expected. Oh, I'll go back to struggling with this. Obviously, they're not going to come off as easy as the back ones, but they're coming out either way. They're just all going to snap, and I'm going to be trying to get bolt heads out of sockets. So I'll bring you back when I'm done cursing and swearing and fighting with this thing. Well, there's the newer springs versus the old springs. They're the same, just a couple extra leaves in this one. So I'll probably bring the back end of the car up a little bit, which is what I'm after anyways. So here's the old one, all the studs stayed, the nuts come undone. Of course, this one you can see I broke off 3 of them on this side. That's the passenger side. I cursed myself saying how easy the back ones came out. The front ones, I think I broke 6 out of the 8 studs. Well, 5 out of 8. I have one that's still stuck in there. And what's happening is the stud itself is spinning. And so I don't know how I'm going to get it. I'm going to try and maybe weld it in place or something. Just to hold it in place so I can finish undoing the nut or snap it off or something. And get that leaf spring out. And then just a matter of putting in the new leaf springs. Okay, it's the next day and got the old leaf springs out. And I'm just getting ready to put in the new leaf springs. While I had them out, I cleaned up. Let me get over here. I cleaned up a bit where they're going to be, so I can put the springs in, and then that's where we're getting around this and more. I'm going to clean up over there next. Geez, you really see that that plug used to be. Maybe I'll put a plug back in there just to clean it up. But anyways, leaf springs are all ready to go in. Just a matter of bolting them up over there and up here, and then new U-bolts for the axle, and I'll paint the axle. Alright, spring's all bolted in. Now I just gotta bolt the axle to the spring. If you can see in there, there's a hole in the bottom of the axle there, in the mounting plate. There's a pin right here, and that's going to, pin goes inside the hole, helps center the axle, and then on the bottom is the shock mount plate. It goes like so. And then the U-bolts go through those 4 holes over the axle. So that's what we're doing now. There we go. I think I did it. Yep, okay. It's in the hole. Right there. Bring up the come on. Alright, I'm going to clean these holes out. They're just a little cruddy. I'll get a Dremel there and just clean the rust and dirt out of them. And then we'll put them on there. The right spot is just, it's snug. We'll go clean this up. Okay. As everything else in this job has turned into a bigger job than I planned. So I bought these brand new shackle bolts, and they say they're 1/2 inch on the package and everything else, but it's aftermarket, and they didn't fit the holes. They're exactly like, even if I hammered them through, I'd probably mash the threads. So I went and drilled the holes a little bit bigger, next size up, and now it's still snug, but it goes in. So that's how it's going to go on the axle there. Okay. I don't know how good an angle that was me installing it, but there they are. 2 U-bolts in there. Nice and tight. Cranked underneath there. All I gotta now is install the shock from there up to there. And do all that on the other side. Finally done for the day. Got fought me the whole way, of course. But leaf springs are installed. Gas tank's all in and hooked up. Leaf springs, new shocks. Going to give a quick coat of paint to this ugly red axle. Put tire back on, and I'm done under here for now. I mean, I still need some undercoating to put on and scrape off the old stuff further down, but that's going to be for later on. I want to get this back on its own wheels and hook the fuel line up with the fuel pump and put some gas in it and see if we can get it running. But I think for today, that's all we're doing.